2037, Earth Resistance Zone, Eastern Ruins Sector. The city was a skeleton, steel bones reaching skyward, frozen in their last breath. Ash drifted like snow through the cracked windows of forgotten towers. Somewhere above, a Kilari observer drone glided in silence, its matte black frame humming with alien energy. Lieutenant Isla Cade crouched in the rubble of a collapsed overpass, her pulse sinking with the soft whir of her breathing filter. The HUD in her visor flickered, cycling through static and fragments of thermal readings. Movement, northwest. Heat signature, 5 humans, unarmed, whispered Dimitri, the team's signal tech, crouched beside her. He sounded tired. He always did lately. Isla's eyes narrowed. Civilians? Could be bait, Ruiz muttered behind them, adjusting the safety on his rifle. You've seen what the Kilari leave behind. She had. Too many times. They moved forward cautiously, rifles sweeping. The collapsed husk of an old tram station stood ahead, walls tagged in resistance glyphs and blood. Inside, they found them, 2 adults and 3 children, all gaunt, wrapped in thermal rags. Eyes hollow. Faces blank. We're not armed, the older man said in broken Mandarin. We heard the machines leave yesterday. Ruiz lowered his rifle. Isla didn't. How long since your last contact with resistance? No contact, the man replied. We've just been surviving. Dimitri scanned the area, then stopped. We need to move. Patrol sweep inbound. 12 minutes. Isla hesitated. The kids' faces, she remembered her brother's kids. They didn't make it past the pulse. Nobody did, really. She tapped her comm evac group Beta 7. Package 5. Coordinates uploading now. Get them out before the grid goes dark again. Ruiz stepped up beside her. You sure? Drone's gonna be on us in minutes. We're not leaving kids to rot in a ruin, she said. They waited just long enough for the evac to confirm receipt, then disappeared into the understructure of the city, relic tunnels and old service paths shielded from orbital scans. For now. For hours later, they reached a buried command node beneath a derelict subway line. The place stank of ozone and mold. Old UN resistance gear still hung from hooks on the walls, untouched since the fall. Dimitri slumped into a chair by the console bank, coughing. His side wound, though sealed, was turning. Ruiz tossed him a ration packet. Eat. You're falling apart. Don't need food, Dimitri replied, chewing anyway. Need sleep. Maybe a time machine. Isla stood in front of a dormant terminal, staring at its blank screen. The silence of the bunker pressed around them like fog. Then it came. A crackle. The static on the long-range comm array shifted. Dimitri shot up, eyes wide. Signal, he whispered. Holy hell. It's not ours. It's not theirs either. Isla turned. Location? Buried under what used to be Moscow. Deep band frequency. Hybrid code, human base layer, alien encryption laced through it. Tanaka, their engineer, leaned in from the far end. Could be bait. Could be real, Isla replied. Run a decryption. Minutes passed. Dimitri worked like a surgeon, fingers tapping with fading energy. Finally, he turned the speaker on. The message played. Garbled at first, then clear. Eidolon, active. Awaiting neural interface, time critical, system integrity degrading. Repeat, Eidolon active. The voice was human. Female. Older. Clipped, urgent. Tanaka stepped back. Eidolon? That was Black Project Whisper stuff before the pulse. Rumors. Ghost tech. Quantum mimicry platform, Dmitri said. If it's real, it could talk to the Kilari systems. Talk, or command? Ruiz asked. Silence. Isla walked to the map screen. Coordinates? Under Moscow's crater. 7 clicks below surface. Power signatures suggest hybrid systems. Something down there is alive. The team exchanged glances. Moscow was a death zone. No one had returned from it since year 0. Tanaka broke the silence. This could shut them down, Isla. Or it could be a trap. Isla's stare didn't waver. It's a chance. We haven't had one of those in years. Dmitri coughed again, blood flecking his sleeve. You'll need me to decode as we go. Count me in. Ruiz nodded. We'll need a route that won't get us cooked from orbit. Tanaka opened her tablet. I've got old subway layouts. Some lines run into deep Cold War vaults. We go under the ruins, not over. Isla pulled up her wrist terminal, recorded a short burst transmission, and sent it to command. Priority mission greenlit. Objective, Eidolon. High risk. Going dark until mission end. Kate out. She looked at them. This is it. One shot to wake the world up. If we fail, no one will ever hear us scream. They began packing. As they exited the bunker, the last light of day filtered through the shattered skyline above. Ash fell like snow again, dusting their shoulders. Far overhead, a silent Kilari vessel drifted across the sky, massive, indifferent, blind to the 4 specks moving below. Ruiz looked up. They think we're done. Isla didn't answer. She just walked forward, rifle in hand, eyes locked toward the east, toward the silence beneath Moscow, and whatever waited there. Behind her, Dmitri clicked on the recorder. His voice was thin, tired. Log entry. Resistance Team Sigma 2 moving toward anomaly source. If this reaches anyone, Earth is not gone. Not yet. The transmission faded into static. They vanished into the ruins. Approaching the Moscow dead zone, subterranean entry point. The silence thickened the deeper they went. Not the peaceful kind, this was silence after a scream. A void that pressed against the eardrums and made every step sound like a gunshot. Isla led the way through a forgotten maintenance shaft that sloped beneath the broken outskirts of Moscow. The walls were slick with condensation and fungus. Occasionally, rusted Soviet warnings glared down in peeling paint. Danger, do not enter. She kept her rifle up, eyes scanning ahead. Her team followed in single file, Tanaka navigating via old blueprints on her wrist pad, Ruiz covering the rear, and Dmitri wheezing softly between them. They hadn't seen the sky in hours. That was by design. Tunnel junction in 40 meters, Tanaka whispered, tapping her map. We'll reach the drop shaft just beyond it. Then it gets vertical. Any recent activity? Isla asked without turning. Kilari don't come down here, Dmitri muttered. Too messy. Too analog. Then why do I feel like we're being watched? Ruiz said, his voice low. No one answered. They reached the junction, a yawning maw of concrete and rusted rebar. A maintenance ladder descended into darkness. Below it, one of the old Cold War vaults, converted in 2029 into a comms relay. It was their path to Eidolon. Isla tested the first rung. It held. Go light. One at a time. She went first. The descent was slow, each movement deliberate. 20 meters. 30. A faint electrical hum vibrated through her boots. Power still ran down here, barely. By the time the team reassembled at the bottom, the staleness in the air had thickened. The floor was covered in soot and half-melted cables. Glowing alien residue stained the walls like spilled oil lit from within. Radiation levels normal, Tanaka said, scanning. But there's bleed, quantum interference. Dmitri knelt beside an old junction box, brushing off dust. This was a relay node. One of ours, Prepulse. Something's still piggybacking off its systems. Eidolon? Isla asked. Maybe. Or whatever's guarding it. Ruiz muttered a curse. We're in Kalari kill range. One wrong move and their systems will wake. Tanaka looked over. Then let's not make a wrong move. They moved deeper. The corridor opened into a sub-platform, old train rails twisted by an ancient explosion. Rubble had settled into unnatural formations, shaped as if melted and then frozen mid-motion. Isla's boots crunched glass and bone. A faint sound echoed ahead. Metal scraping. Everyone froze. Ruiz raised his rifle. Hostile? Dmitri closed his eyes, listening. No. Not alien. That's a generator. Human. A single light flickered on up ahead. They moved cautiously and emerged into a pocket of life, a crude enclave carved out of the wreckage, ringed by metal sheeting and lit with scavenged lamps. Inside, 5 or 6 figures stood guard. One approached. He was thin, armored in mismatched plating, eyes hollow. Identify, he barked. Isla lowered her rifle halfway. Lieutenant Isla Cade. Earth Resistance. Out of Eastern Sector. Hell are you doing in the dead zone? The man snapped. Following a signal. Eidolon. That word changed everything. The man stiffened, then turned. Follow me. Inside the enclave, Isla's team was led through a series of reinforced corridors, each covered in anti-drone netting and makeshift defenses. The people here were hard-faced, silent, many of them armed. They didn't seem glad to see visitors. They stopped in a control chamber made from 2 crashed shuttles welded together. Inside, a weathered woman in her 40s sat hunched over a terminal. Her eyes met Isla's, calculating. You're chasing the Eidolon signal, she said flatly. We're here to activate it, Isla replied. You intercepted it? We traced it months ago. Sent a scout team. They didn't come back. We will, Isla said. The woman stared at her. You don't understand what's down there. I don't care. The woman rose, walked closer, face tight with distrust. If you screw this up, it's not just your team that dies. You'll bring the Kalari down on all of us. Then help us get it right. A long silence passed. Finally, the woman nodded. There's a shaft beneath this sector. Drops into a pre-war research bay. That's where the signal's coming from. But if you're going, you'll need this. She handed Isla a data shard. This opens the final gate. One-time use. Later that night, Isla sat alone, polishing her rifle. Ruiz sat beside her, wordless for a while. Then, you trust them? No, she said. But they didn't shoot us. That's enough. He looked at her. You still thinking about your brother? Isla said nothing. He died trying to reach something like this, didn't he? He died believing there was still something worth fighting for, she said. That's enough for me. Ruiz nodded. Then we finish it. She glanced at him. You ever think we're already ghosts? Moving through a dead world? No, he said. Because ghosts don't bleed. At dawn, they descended again, through the shaft below the enclave. The walls were smoother now, unnaturally so. Alien material layered atop concrete, pulsating faintly. Dmitri touched the wall. They terraformed it. Like they're trying to overwrite the world one atom at a time. At the base, the passage opened into a massive vault door, 10 meters high. Old Russian letters were scorched into it. A glowing lock plate waited at the center. Isla inserted the data shard. The door split open with a hiss. Beyond it, a new world waited, part machine, part organism. Lights flickered like stars. And in the distance, something pulsed. Eidolon was awake. And watching. The chamber was alive. Not in the way a machine breathes with fans or humming power. This place throbbed. Subtle pulses rippled through the floor, as though the walls themselves had a heartbeat. Alien metals blended into rusted earth alloys, curves and geometry that defied logic. No straight lines. No symmetry. Just flowing, organic engineering shaped for something not quite human. Isla stepped forward, rifle down, eyes scanning. Tanaka, lights? Not artificial, she muttered, staring up. Photonic fiber mesh. The walls generate their own light spectrum. Ruiz moved in a slow circle, weapon raised. Feels like we're inside something's skull. Dmitri knelt near the central dais. We are. Isla turned. Explain. He tapped his pad against the base of a towering obsidian spire that jutted from the center of the chamber. It was smooth, 10 feet tall, and laced with glowing lines. Eidolon isn't just housed here. It is this place. Biosynthetic core. Hybridized with human neural templates and Killari entanglement tech. It's not a weapon, not exactly. Tanaka frowned. Then what is it? Dmitri looked at Isla. It's a mimic. A translator. A liar. Built to sound like Killari command, then speak directly into their chain of control protocols. Isla's heartbeat quickened. Can it command the orbital fleet? In theory, Dmitri said. Eidolon can hijack their Q-link, if it can imitate their syntax with perfect fidelity. Tanaka shook her head slowly. That tech shouldn't even exist. They buried this for a reason. Maybe they hoped we'd never need it, Isla said. Ruiz stepped closer to the dais. There's always a catch. What's the cost? Dmitri didn't answer right away. Then, quietly, Eidolon can't operate autonomously. It needs a human neural host, someone to plug in. Think for it. Feel for it. Interpret data in real time. Tanaka stepped back. So, permanent upload. A mind burned into the machine. Yes, Dmitri said. One way in. No way out. Isla stared at the spire. What happens if no one links? Dimitri's voice dropped. Then it sleeps. Forever. And the world ends quietly. Ruiz shook his head. There has to be another way. There isn't, Isla said. Silence fell. Then she stepped forward and placed her palm on the interface. No, Ruiz said, reaching for her. Don't do this. She didn't look back. I made the call the second we left Eastern Sector. You're not thinking straight. I'm thinking exactly straight, she snapped. Eidolon only activates once. We have one shot to speak to the enemy in their own language. If I don't take it, we die choking on hope. Tanaka moved beside her, voice calm. At least let us boost the array. Increase the reach of your signal. Isla nodded. Do it. Ruiz's jaw tightened. Why does it have to be you? Because I've lost everything, she said softly. And because I'm the one who brought you here. My command. My burden. While Tanaka prepped the antenna system and Dmitri reconfigured the interface, Isla sat on the edge of the platform. She checked the final seals on her suit, hands moving without hesitation. Ruiz sat beside her. Quiet for a moment. Then, You remember Ulaanbaatar? The snow, the river? Isla nodded faintly. And that old diner. Power out, everything cold except the soup. He looked down. We could have run. Gone dark. Lived like the others. No, she said. Running isn't living. Not anymore. His voice cracked. You don't have to die to make it count. She finally looked at him. I'm not dying, Ruiz. I'm becoming something that can end this. Tanaka returned. Signal boosts ready. Dimitri's linked the relay to the deep satellite graveyard. Once you activate, we've got a 60-second window. Dimitri stood at the console, shaking slightly. Uploading config now. Once she's in, the system will start searching for access points in the Kilari command net. Isla stepped up. The spire opened like petals, revealing a seat shaped like a throne and a coffin combined. She lay back. Cold metal touched her spine. Darkness swallowed her vision. Then, she woke. Not in the vault, but in a place without shape. Light poured through her. She was the interface. She could feel signals, every pulse, every frequency. Kilari voices echoed through dimensions she had no name for. She felt them like currents in water. Data streamed. Logic trees formed. Entire languages processed in seconds. Time bent. She saw Earth, from orbit. Labeled Resource Unit 775. She saw herself, flagged as contamination variable. She reached into the stream of thought and bent it. She lied. A new command formed, perfectly mimicking Kilari syntax. Recall all harvest units. Initiate migration pattern Theta. Authority, Overseer Class Delta. She encoded the lie with emotion. Intention. A human twist the machines would never expect. And send it. Back in the chamber, Tanaka's console blared. Signal sent. Dimitri shouted. Outside the vault, the air vibrated. Power rippled through the ground. But then, thunder. A Kilari hunter-killer unit had arrived. A 12-foot biomech tore through the far entrance, legs scissoring across stone, eyes glowing with heat. Ruiz and Tanaka turned in unison. By her time. Tanaka yelled. They opened fire, unloading everything they had. Ruiz was hit first, flung against the wall, unmoving. Tanaka pulled a plasma charge from her vest, screaming as she ran for the conduit. For Earth. The explosion rocked the chamber. Eidolon remained intact. The hunter-killer didn't. Inside the machine, Isla felt the tremor, both in the chamber and in space. She saw orbital Kilari ships begin to slow. One by one, their identifiers blinked out. Power signatures dropped. Engines powered down. She felt Zeldar's confusion. He was too late. The signal had worked. Eidolon had spoken in the enemy's voice. And Earth had screamed loud enough to be heard. She reached out, one last time, and sent a final broadcast. We are not prey. Earth lives. Then the interface faded to black. And Isla Cade became the ghost in the machine. Above Earth, the stars blinked behind a drifting graveyard of Kilari vessels. Ships once pulsing with cold alien precision now floated idle, darkened like tombstones. The recall order had cut deeper than a missile barrage. Its logic infected the Kilari network like a silent virus, convincing machines built for war to return home. But Earth was no longer a home they understood. From orbit, the planet seemed unchanged. Still quiet. Still wounded. Yet, for the first time in years, no new harvest ships dropped from the sky. No orbital pulses lanced the surface. The enemy had been paused. Not destroyed, but confused. And that was enough. Far below, in the ruined depths of the Moscow vault, the air was thick with smoke and the stink of ozone. Debris lay scattered in glowing shards. The remnants of the Kilari hunter-killer still sizzled, its limbs twitching with residual voltage. Tanaka's body lay slumped beside the shattered conduit, one arm reaching toward the core. Ruiz had fallen near the edge of the chamber, weapon still clutched in a broken hand. Only Dmitri remained. He coughed hard, dragging himself toward the console, vision blurred, blood in his mouth. Every movement hurt. He had 2 cracked ribs, maybe more. But he had to see it. He had to know. The core hummed. The spire still pulsed, steady and warm. He activated the system. "Isla," he whispered. Did it work? There was no voice at first. Just light. Then the interface shimmered, and Isla's face appeared in fractured hologram. Eyes steady. Voice crisp, machine filtered but unmistakably hers. Mission successful. Orbital units have disengaged. Command Net has accepted the false recall. Dmitri laughed, then winced in pain. You did it. You crazy, brilliant, you actually did it. A pause. Tanaka? He shook his head slowly. Ruiz? Same answer. A soft flicker in Isla's projection. They bought me the seconds I needed. Dmitri reached for the comm relay, patching through the transmission to every surviving resistance node still listening. Static at first. Then a ping. Multiple pings. Dozens. From Paris. Nairobi. The Andes. Suboceanic Bunker Sigma 4. They were listening. Dmitri triggered the broadcast. To all resistance units. This is Dmitri Volkov, Sigma Team. The Eidolon protocol was activated. Kilari Command believes Earth has been recalled. Their fleets are retreating or entering standby. This is not a victory, yet. But it is our moment. We are not alone. We never were. And now, they know it. He patched Isla in. Her voice echoed, calm and steel-sharp. If you hear this, understand, Earth still stands. We were silent because they cut our tongue. Now we speak through their throat. Rally. Regroup. Rebuild. This is not the end, it's the beginning. Somewhere in the void between stars, Overseer Zeldar stood before his command interface aboard the Mantle of Order. The projections surrounding him twisted with conflicting data. Earth's classification had shifted. Fleet orders conflicted. Redundant systems began flagging one another as threats. He ran 1,000 diagnostic routines. No trace of sabotage. No malware. No logic bombs. The message had come from within their own authority stream. Impossible. Unacceptable. And yet, true. Zeldar narrowed his eyes. Begin retrieval of command node Echo on Sol 3. Prepare ground units for re-establishment of control. A subordinate blinked. Sir, ground protocols are suspended. Recall order Omega Delta 3 holds full priority. Override requires Overseer Class Sigma verification. He froze. There was no Overseer Class Sigma. He had never authorized such a designation. The signal had created one. A phantom authority. A perfect lie. For the first time in centuries, Zeldar felt something he couldn't quantify. Uncertainty. Hours passed. Then days. Across Earth, static gave way to whispers. Resistance cells once isolated began speaking again, trading location codes, sharing caches, linking up. Drones powered down mid-flight. guard patrols lost sync and were overwhelmed by scavenger ambushes. Cities once dead flickered with faint lights powered by salvaged Kilari cores. Isla's voice became a constant. Through Eidolon, she lived, her consciousness laced into every transmission, every encoded warning. She was everywhere and nowhere. A mind that had sacrificed flesh to become signal. She spoke in brief messages. Simple. Steady. Unified. We are not defeated. They listened. Now they fear. Rebuild. Together. In the northern wastes, a boy found a broken Kilari relay node and repurposed it to power a well. In the flooded remains of Dhaka, a woman used Isla's signal to trick orbiting drones into lifting construction material rather than harvesting civilians. In what was once Johannesburg, survivors painted the Eidolon symbol across a Kilari patrol ship they'd brought down with scavenged war tech, 3 curved lines forming a voice box, crossed by a human fingerprint. Resistance no longer meant hiding. It meant rebuilding in the shadow of fallen giants. Deep beneath Moscow, the vault remained sealed. Dmitri had gone silent weeks later, his injuries too deep, his body too frail. But before he faded, he left one last transmission stored within Eidolon's memory. Isla, you weren't just our voice. You became our future. Whatever happens next, let them remember that one woman walked into the void, and taught a machine how to lie for humanity. Inside the core, Isla watched it all. She saw the orbital ships drift like forgotten gods. She saw children play on rooftops under quiet skies. She saw Earth breathe. And though she had no body, no hands, no lungs, she smiled. Just once. And whispered into the stars. We were never yours. We are still here. And we remember. End. Ask ChatGPT.